guys, it's Caitlin. Welcome to my channel. I am excited today because I want to talk to you about having a pain and medication-free labor and delivery. I have had two different birthing experiences now. My first son, Kyle, I ended up having a 28-hour labor. I was induced with Pitocin and chose to have an epidural. With my second son, I had a 2-hour labor. I was induced again with Pitocin and did not have an epidural or any other pain medication. So I wanted to share with you 4 tips of getting through a labor and delivery without an epidural. First, I want to just thank you again for clicking on this video. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if this is something that you're interested in. And please consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you in my YouTube family and along on this journey called motherhood. Tip number 1. The first thing that you need to do is make sure that your mentality going into your labor and delivery is that you can do it. If you go into this thinking, oh my goodness, this is gonna be hard, it's gonna be the worst thing I ever go through, the most painful thing I've ever experienced, I'm probably gonna get an epidural anyway, then that's probably what you're gonna do. And that's okay. If you get an epidural, that's perfectly fine. Nobody is expecting mothers to be heroes here. In fact, having a baby is a heroic thing to do anyway, no matter how it's done. But if you want to have an epidural-free labor and delivery, you have to be able to tell yourself and believe that it's something that you can do, no matter how painful it gets. You also need to have the reasons on why you want to do it. If you go in just saying, I want to do it, but you don't have reasons in your mind to back up why, then you'll most likely just go ahead and get an epidural anyway. For me, my personal reasons for not getting an epidural during my second delivery was, honestly, I just didn't want to pay for it. Apparently with my insurances, they were not going to pay for an epidural if it was an elective thing. Of course, if I needed one for, say, like a cesarean section, obviously it would have probably been covered. But if I just elected to have one, I would have had to fork out $400 for it. And I did not want to do that again. My second reason was that even though I got through the epidural with my first delivery, it somehow just became even more terrifying for me to have an epidural placed. The process of having one placed is actually probably not that big of a deal for the anesthesiologist, but for someone that's having it done, it can be really scary and concerning, even though I don't think there's that many risks, but there are some, and I just didn't want to deal with the risks. I didn't want to deal with the anxiety, and I didn't want to deal with having an epidural placed. The other reason I didn't want to have one is because I just wanted my recovery to go a lot easier. With my epidural labor, I ended up having a really heavy amount on the left side and not very much on the right side. So they had to give me more anesthesia, which caused my legs to just be useless. So after my labor was over and the nurse got me up and moving, I felt like a robot, just moving like very robotically, and it took days for it to really wear off. Like, my husband had to stand in the shower to make sure that I didn't fall or something, and I was scared to like hold my baby and walk with him. So I didn't want to go through that, and I wanted to just be able to recover as quickly as possible with my second delivery. These things being in my mind really helped me when it came to the most painful parts of my contractions. I just knew going into it that that was what I wanted. I wanted to be able to do this, and the reasons why were good enough to keep me motivated to get through it. Tip number 2, you have to have a support person if at all possible. I know with the pandemic situation happening right now, that for some people is not an option, and I hope that this just clears as quickly as possible, because for a mother, especially a first-time mother, going in to have a baby on her own, I cannot imagine what that is like. And if you are about to go through that, or you think you're gonna have to go through it during your current pregnancy, my heart goes out to you, and you're even more of a hero. But if at all possible, you want to take your support person with you, because not only do you have a good mentality going into this natural birth, you have someone backing you up saying, yes, I agree with you. Like, if this is what you want to do, I agree, you can do it. Having that support really boosts your morality and believing you really can do it. Also, that person needs to be able to attend to your needs without you necessarily verbalizing them all of the time. Once your contractions get bad enough, you really can't talk or express yourself in ways other than moaning or, oh my gosh, this really hurts. So you need someone that's going to be able to be there and move around, read the room, read you, and see what you need. Tip number 3, focus in on your breathing. When your contractions get to the point where they're pretty much as strong as they're going to be, it's so much so that you cannot focus on anything other than the contractions. To help your body relax and to give your mind a little bit of rest from focusing on being in pain, you really need to find a place where you're taking really long, deep breaths. Your contractions at this point are extremely consistent and are happening for a pretty consistent amount of time that you might find that a certain amount of breaths equals 1 contraction. I remember with Henry, my epidural-free labor, my contractions were about 4 to 5 long breaths. So whenever I got to breath number 3, my climax would pretty much be coming down, and I knew that that contraction was pretty much over, and it was a good time for me to start getting ready for the next one, which was only about 15 to 20 seconds away. So if you can get your breathing down, focus in on that, it'll allow your body to relax and do what it's supposed to be doing, which is moving baby down into the birth canal so that you can push baby out. Tip number 4 is pushing. So without an epidural, your body is able to feel everything, of course, and it's even able to act so much more efficiently without the epidural. So with my first son, Kyle, I had to push for an hour and a half, and I remember feeling just so tired afterwards. Even my arms and my neck muscles hurt because I was using my entire body to push as hard as I could. And because I had the epidural, I couldn't feel anything and my body couldn't control what was happening. So whenever I was having Henry with no epidural, I remember even thinking to myself, wow, this is so different. My body is almost pushing him out on its own. Of course, I was making the mental action to push, but somehow it just seemed to me, and I've heard other women express this too, that it was just like their body just took over and did what it was really built to be able to accomplish. So that is probably, if I ever have another baby, one of the added reasons of to why I won't have an epidural is because it's just easier on your body to not have one. I hope that these tips for having an epidural-free labor and delivery are helpful for you. If you've already had one and you've got tips to add, please leave them in the comments below. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you're alerted anytime I upload new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.